Entering the season, Bill Cowher's Pittsburgh Steelers had huge expectations. Now they find themselves in unfamiliar territory. They might miss the playoffs for the first time in 7 years unless they win today. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and their head coach Tony Dungy also expected to return to the playoffs. They too find themselves on the brink of elimination. It's a must-win situation. Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay next. Welcome to the Tampa Bay area of Florida on this mid-December Sunday afternoon. An interconference matchup today. The Pittsburgh Steelers, losers of their last two, taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, winners of their last two. Here's the significance of this game in terms of playoff possibilities. Pittsburgh tied at the moment with Tennessee and Oakland as they battle for a wild card spot. And over in the NFC, the Buccaneers, despite the two wins, still a game under 500 and momentarily tied with Arizona and New Orleans in their battles to go on into the playoffs. Hi once again, everybody. Vern Lundquist along with Randy Cross. We have a mini monsoon for the moment, and that seems like suitably appropriate atmospheric condition for the desperation these two teams have.
Well, desperate's a good word, but it's different kinds of desperate. You know, for Tampa Bay, they dug a hole. They're getting out of it, but they're a little looser. And Bill Cowher said something I thought was very interesting last night. He says, hey, look, this team in Tampa is 6-7, and they're going to the playoffs. We're 7-6, and people are trying to bury us. A lot more pressure on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I expect them to be a little more uptight and Tampa to be a whole lot looser today.
Both teams on the field getting set for the kickoff. We'll be back with that right after this. 76 degrees at kickoff, a humidity of 80%, winds 10 to 15 miles per hour out of the southwest. And we had forecast of intermittent thunderstorms. This is the mittens part.
Well, it's been 100% humidity. It'll last about 10-15 minutes. It's going to roll in on and off all day.
Steelers won the toss. They have elected to receive. Here's Houston. David Dunn, Will Blackwell deep. And this will be Blackwell at the goal line, out to the 10, to the 20, and spilled as he reaches the 25-yard line. Cordell Stewart, 0 rushing attempts last week in the loss to New England. He has only 11 touchdowns and 13 interceptions through the air, only 2 touchdowns rushing this year. Up front, Wolford, Faneca, Dawson, Stye, and Jermaine Stevens. Jerome Bettis, who has not been running well. John Whitman, Courtney Hawkins, Charles Johnson, and Mark Bruner. In the I formation from the 25. They give it to Bettis, who sweeps to the right. Turns the corner, picks up 4.5 yards. Defensively for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as Mincy makes that tackle. They've got Tyoka, Jackson, and Reagan Upshaw on the ends, Culpepper and Sapp at the tackles. In the middle, they do miss Hardy Nicholson. Rookie Jamie Duncan has taken his spot. Derek Brooks having a sensational year. And in the secondary, Abraham Mincy, John Lynch, and Rondi Barber. 2nd down and 5. Johnson in motion. Draw play, Bettis breaks a tackle, breaks another, and he's out to the 37-yard line, and we check in with Michelle Tafoya.
All right, Vern. Well, despite Pittsburgh's struggles on offense, Tony Dungy told me he considers the Steelers very dangerous. He said, we've prepared for Jerome Bettis to run hard, for Cordell Stewart to create big plays, but he said the Steelers have doubts in their minds. They haven't been able to run the ball well. We need to pounce on those doubts. We need to stop their run early. We need to score early. The first quarter will be critical. Vern, back up to you.
All right, Michelle. Johnson split wide to the left side. 2 receivers tight right. John Whitman now in motion. And here's Stewart to throw for the first down. Straight down the middle, crossing pattern. Courtney Hawkins, a former Buccaneer. First down at the 46. For Courtney Hawkins, that is his 63rd catch of the season.
That's got to be a great confidence builder, too, for Cordell Stewart, because this is one thing this team has not done, is that get the big chunks, the big passing plays early in a game to start setting things up offensively. You let Cordell Stewart start doing this, then possibly you see Cordell Stewart start moving around that pocket and make something happen and running the ball.
17-yard gain, first down at the 45. Whitman again in motion. Bettis goes left, cuts upfield inside the 40, and surges down to the 36-yard line. A gain of 9.
Well, Jerome Bettis is the perfect running back for this field, he and Allstott, because the field is very loose. You're going to see grass kind of kick up at times because the grass is not real thick, but Jerome Bettis, there's not a whole lot of guess and wiggle when he runs. It's a lot of low pads and a lot of 250 pounds in your face.
2nd and 1 at the 36. That should be enough for the first down at the 34-yard line.
It's an interesting matchup when you look at Jerome Bettis and what he did last week. 4.0, they just wouldn't run him. But you look at this Steelers offense that has had such a strong running game. Not a big defense for Tampa. Tampa is an extremely fast defense facing Bill Cowher's offense. They have to take advantage of things inside. You're not going to get the corners a lot against Tony Dungy's defense.
1st and 10 at the 34-yard line officially. Bettis gets another handoff, and he plows around the left side with the 32-yard line. Tyoka Jackson, number 97, again with the tackle.
And now the Pittsburgh offense is kind of in the area that, you know, Tampa has to have looked all week long at the tapes of the last 3, 4, 5 weeks on Pittsburgh and said, hey, look, when they get past the 50, the offense has problems. Then when they move 30 yards further down the field and get down here to the 20-yard line, which is the red zone, they have big problems. Time to concentrate for the Steelers.
Richard Huntley in the backfield now, number 33. Play fake. Cordell Stewart, deep left side, overthrows the intended receiver, Courtney Hawkins. Hawkins, who spent 5 years in a Buccaneer uniform.
Well, look at the pad he's getting there from Rondé Barber. You got a bite inside, but no bite from Rondé Barber on that play-action pass. A bad break out of the cut by Barber. Hawkins was open. He was clearly open. That's a pass that Cordell Stewart has got to complete down here in the money zone.
Hines Ward comes in. He splits left. Chris Faamatu Marfala back in the active roster. He replaces McAfee on 3rd down. Here comes the blitz. Good protection. Stewart finds his man at the 15. And his man is Hines Ward.
Hines Ward, that young receiver out of the University of Georgia, is a young guy that they've got to get involved. Here he's working against Brian Kelly, another rookie out of USC. Look where he puts this ball. After missing the one before, he puts that ball in a perfect location for his receiver to go up and get it. He ignores the blitz and takes advantage of an open spot in the defense.
Cordell Stewart again telling us yesterday, as you look at Hines Ward, I've got to quit thinking and just start reacting. Option play. And here's Cordell Stewart's first rushing effort in a couple of weeks.
The critical one for this offense is the one in the middle. There's 0 touchdowns in the 5 times in last week against the New England Patriots. They had plenty of opportunities. This offense they just go numb when they get in the plus 20, the red zone area. Bill Cowher, you know, he's got to be frustrated. Ray Sherman's got to be frustrated. I'm not sure anybody is more frustrated, though, than Cordell Stewart.
2nd down and 7. Opening drive of the ball game. They'll hand it to the bus, and he comes right, cuts back upfield, and powers inside the 20 to the 19-yard line. Tackle made by Charles Mincy, number 22.
You know, one thing about when you have Jerome Bettis on this field, like I said, he's got to make his mind up so he doesn't slip. No quick cuts. You can take advantage of a quick defense when they're moving so fast. You make that cut and you head up the field like he did in that last play. Look at the offensive line upfield. Stevens gets a block. He misses Sapp. Sty gets on him. Bettis feels the gap and gets the yards. That run was stuck, but he got the yards.
3rd and 4. 3 wide receivers in. Blitz coming. 3-step drop for Stewart. Incomplete. It'll be 4th down. Intended for Will Blackwell.
Now, Bill Cowher's offense just had a great play call by Tony Dungy's defense. They came after the quarterback Cordell Stewart on that play and forced that play to be misthrown.
John Lynch And Mincy coming.
Yeah, Mincy got those arms up, and I think just blocked the view of exactly where Cordell had to throw that ball. That's another ball, though. When you're having a bad year at the red zone, how to cure it? You make those passes.
Norm Johnson tries to break the tie. Tomczak will hold. The kick is up and true. 27-yard field goal for the Pittsburgh Steelers to open the game. But they are still looking for touchdowns. Steelers use 12 plays to go 66 yards, shoo off 6 minutes and take a 3-0 lead. Now Norm Johnson on the kickoff for Pittsburgh. His graphic demonstration of the drive. A 27-yard field goal for Johnson, who is now 24 of 28. Riddell Anthony is the deep man. Johnson with only one touchback this season. Anthony moves up to the 5, expecting a short kick. And he gets one at the 15. Anthony to the 30. To the 40, flag is down. First hanky of the ball game. Bo Orlando makes the tackle. Now Tony Dungy telling us yesterday morning, as we look at Tony Corrente, the referee will find out who was the guilty party here. It will be against the Buccaneers, holding.
And being outscored like this is bad for Trent Dilfer's offense, only from the sense that this is a run-based team that does not come back from behind very well. It's the criticism I think that a lot of people have had of the Tampa offense, and it's not Trent's fault per se, is they don't have a good plan B. And Tony Dungy's offense, when you say plan B, it's 3 wide, gotta throw it. That's not their strength. They need to score and stay even.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. The new Dodge, it's about change. And by Staples, the office superstore.
Buccaneers at their own 25 after the penalty. Draw play, the handoff. Warwick Dunn tries to bounce off the tackle. Lee Flowers at the 41 came up and made the contact and stopped him short. Now let's check the lineup for the Buccaneers. Trent Dilfer, who threw for 2 and scored 1 from the ground in the Monday night win over Green Bay. And up front for Dilfer, Paul Gruber, the veteran at left tackle. Doggins, Mayberry, Middleton, and Odom. Mike Allstott playing with a fractured left thumb today. Riddell Anthony, Bert Emanuel are the wideouts, and the tight end Dave Moore. Here comes the blitz from Earl Holmes. Dilfer lets it set off. Boy, almost picked off by Cornell Lake. A flag back at the 15-yard line.
This is how the Steelers defense wanted to start, because they have a real attitude about people trying to run on them. They wanted to stuff the run. They wanted to attack Trent Dilfer. Dilfer needs better protection inside, because that's where this defense is going to attack him. It's between the guards.
Kevin Henry got terrific pressure, number 76 for Pittsburgh. Here's Tony Corrente.
Holding, number 65, offense. 10-yard penalty, repeat, second down.
That is Kevin Doggins, who is playing in place of the injured George Diaz. Here's the defense for the Steelers up front. Harrison Steed and Kevin Henry. The linebackers massive in the middle, Kirkland and Holmes. And the secondary burned last Sunday by New England, Lake, Perry, Flowers, and Dwayne Washington. Second down and 19 as the rain continues. Dilfer. Hand off Allstott. Mike Allstott out to the 32-yard line. He said, no, I am not going to wear a cast on the left thumb.
Well, if you haven't seen much of the A-Train, here he is. You're going to get the grill of the A-Train come through a gap right there. He might have that busted thumb. You see the tape job on his thumb, but as you can tell, there is nothing wrong with the legs. Allstott started this season. He had a bruised hip socket, slowed him down. He couldn't work out much. He's rounding into shape, obviously, from that run. And his numbers right now are just as good as his Pro Bowl year last year.
That leaves Tampa Bay with a 3rd and 3. Dilfer with the audible. Ball at the 32. Dilfer, quick setup. Pumps across the middle, caught by Dave Moore. First down at the 44-yard line. The tight end makes the grab for 11. Lee Flowers popped him and knocked him down.
Another case of the Steelers in this formation doing a little blitzing, trying to bring the heat. Look at Moore at the tight end position working against Oldham. And look at this. You're going to see a lot of that today from these two football teams. I think this will be the hardest hitting game you're going to see this year when you get two desperate, aggressive defenses playing. But Dave Moore did a nice job of holding on to that.
Allstott, the lone running back. That's John Davis, the extra tight end. He provides the lead block, and Allstott in trouble. Behind the line, knocked down by Jason Gilden. Number 92, the outside linebacker, made the tackle.
You know, Mike Allstott's got a little bounce. He's got a little quicks for a guy that's 250, 255 pounds. But watch this area of the Steelers defense. You've got Joel Steed, you've got Levon Kirkland, you've got Nolan Harrison jamming in there. He clogs the hole, and there's nowhere for Allstott to go. That's the kind of defense the Steelers love to play against the run. And it's what this Tampa Bay team has to deal with. The outside is where you want to hurt this team.
2nd and 15, 3-0, Pittsburgh leads. Dilfer, screen pass, overthrows Davis. A tight end, another flag in the offensive backfield.
I think Nolan Harrison might have got a shot on Dilfer late. Yep. Well, I don't think it was pointed in that direction for roughing the passer.
Personal foul, roughing the quarterback, necessarily number 51 on the defense. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Well, Nolan Harrison was asking the question, but Emmons, 51, gets called. Look at him coming in late. Watch the arms. See that extra little push and that theatrical flip that Dilfer did? That was part contact, and that was part Emmy. He wasn't quite hit hard enough to do a flip, but sometimes you can sell things.
Now the Buccaneers overcome a 2nd and 19 early in the drive, a 2nd and 15 now with Carlos Emmons' penalty, and they pitch their tent at the 45-yard line, first down, as the rain and the wind continue in Tampa. Dilfer comes left, chased by Harrison and Earl Holmes, and darts out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Monday on CBS, when Raymond picks out what he thinks is the perfect holiday gift, he's about to prove that it's better to give than to receive. It's an all-new Christmas. Everybody loves Raymond. Monday on CBS. Second down 5, 3-0. 5:40 to go first quarter.
That's one of the things that Trent Dilfer has kind of added to this offense, is getting out of the pocket the last couple of weeks. He's been scrambling. He's been doing that little extra.
Dunn inside the 40 to the 39-yard line. Levon Kirkland, Earl Holmes jam the run. Now Jim Haslett, the Pittsburgh defensive coordinator, will send his prevent defense in, nickel defense.
Yeah, this defense, though, you saw the aggressive hits that are going on. Both defenses on both sides are thinking ball in this situation. They're both extremely good at creating turnovers, and you know the monsoon conditions. Look at that. When you can see the rain like that, you can only imagine why this rain is getting on everything.
3rd and 4. Davis, the tight end, in motion, goes back to the right. Dilfer off his back foot finds Waddell Anthony for the first down at the 35-yard line. Levon Kirkland was there defending.
And we keep mentioning the rain, and it is coming down. And what a great tribute, though, to concentration from a receiver, you know, like Anthony, to hold on to a ball like that. I mean, those fans in the stands, I bet they can't hold on to their cups, much less hold on to a football that's zipping at them.
No, they are literally in their cups.
Well, this used to be one of the great locations in the old stadium next door. When it rained like this, you just see those waterfalls cascading down the aisleways.
First down and 10. Dilfer with a handoff. Dunn searching left, and he runs into Carlos Emmons, a loss of 1 back to the 36-yard line. This week's player spotlight on NFL.com profiles Raiders defensive tackle Darrell Russell. Plus, get updated stats through Week 15 at www.nfl.com. 3:45 remaining, opening drive for the Buccaneers. They vanquished Chicago in Chicago 2 weeks ago. They won here Monday night against Green Bay. A couple of ghosts are gone. They've never beaten Pittsburgh. Draw play done. Hammered. It'll be 3rd and long. Lee Flowers makes the tackle.
Well, Lee Flowers, and also the slight matter of a guy in the middle at the nose guard who was a Pro Bowler last year in Joel Steed, who just clogged the inside of that play. And see, this is the area of the football field you're seeing these players now start to tear up. They're starting to get muddy inside. Now you're going to see blitzes. But with that inside of the field is what Trent Dilfer needs protected. In this situation, Trent Dilfer's face needs to be clean. If you can get in Trent Dilfer's face, you can do some business.
They don't have Riddell Anthony on the field. He limped over to the bench. Bryce Hunter is on 3rd down and 12. Stunned by the defensive line. Dilfer chased left. Another flag. This one might come back. And Dilfer knocked out of bounds at the 27-yard line, but this one in the area that might indicate holding.
It looked from up here that Paul Gruber in the left side of that offensive line, as things sort of collapsed and got into his face, is where we're going to see that infraction.
There is no foul on the play.
Well, we now have an intermittent referee's microphone.
I talked about getting stuff into Dilfer's face. You see Vrabel get down and Paul Gruber push him to the ground. It's a good non-call. That was not a foul. But watch what Dilfer does at the end of this play. He doesn't look for the boundary. He looks for somebody to hit.
4th and 3. Both teams looking at their respective benches for advice. Bill Cowher will give you a little.
This is a good idea in this situation. Remember I told you, it is a loose field. Kicking in this kind of weather is pretty dicey. This is not a bad call. You go for it here.
Timeout, Tampa. Play clock winding down. Trent Dilfer says, I think we'll hold this one up. 3-0 Pittsburgh leads Tampa Bay with a 4th down and 3.
A different look Bill Cowher's defense gave Trent Dilfer there. That's why they had the timeout. Mike Vrabel, who's been like a nickel rusher, outside linebacker, lined up over the left guard, Doggins, and was giving him almost like a 53, a slid line look, and he's up there again.
John Davis, a tight end, split to the right side in the slot on 4th down. Here comes the corner blitz, the pass left side, and it is caught at the 21-yard line by Bryce Hunter, his 4th catch of the year.
That play before, the reason that the timeout was called, there's Vrabel right there. What's that mean? That means garbage. He calls the timeout, and what he got was garbage. He got blitzing, he got stunning, but Trent Dilfer made the play. And I think Cordell Stewart could learn a lot from Trent Dilfer and all the garbage he's been through. It gets a lot worse, Cordell. Buck up.
Bryce Hunter with the 1st down catch of 6 yards. Here's the handoff to Allstott, and he bangs inside the 20 near the 19. Dwayne Washington, number 20, makes the tackle.
And right now you're seeing Tony Dungy's offense the way Tony Dungy wants to run it. You're seeing a quarterback in Dilfer do some reliable passing, and he's jamming you with the running game. He's hitting you. He's hitting you. It takes up time, and it produces points. The big difference in the last 3 or 4 weeks has been this team has started to produce points, especially in that red zone.
Well, they are in the red zone, and as you saw, they are in the middle of the pack in effectiveness inside the 20. The flag's raised here at Raymond James Stadium, indicating they are inside the 20. Here's Dilfer. Quick set, left side, knocked down. I think Carlos Emmons, number 51, got a hand on that one.
Hey, that's a nice job by Emmons, because that's something that all linebackers are taught as they're dropping back into a zone. If you feel something, you get the hand up in the air, and that was, you know, it was part good athletic move, but it was also part a little bit of luck that he got that arm, and the timing was so perfect to knock it down.
3rd down and 8. Riddell Anthony, who was on the bench, is back on the field now on 3rd and 8. Back split from the 19. Blitz coming. Good protection for Dilfer. Steps up. No. Good coverage by Pittsburgh. And Nolan Harrison gets his first sack of the afternoon. That's 3.5 for the year.
Well, they did absolutely everything they could offensively there for Trent Dilfer to make things happen. You have to concentrate on the coverage, but watch this right here. Watch the gap form. Watch the running back step up into position and get the blitzers. That's everything you can ask. And the reason this play is a great defensive play is who do you throw to down the field? That's two good jobs by an offense and a defense.
Michael Husted for the tie. He missed one from 38 Monday night, but not this time. Knocks it home from 39 yards, and Tony Dungy's team takes its opening kickoff and moves to a field goal. So, late first quarter, in the rain, 3-3.
Sponsored by the NASDAQ Amex Market Group, the market of markets, and by Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler.
This is an example of intermittent thunderstorms.
You don't want to be here when it rains.
It is coming down. This is what happens when two low-pressure systems collide.
Well, this is starting to become what they call, in my new home in the state of Georgia, a frog strangler.
Or a quagmire. Yeah, that'll do. Here's Husted as we start the second quarter, very short. And taken at the 11-yard line by David Dunn. Breaks free, stiff arm, down at the 32. Tyrone Bowie, or Rondy Barber it is, number 20, who makes the tackle on the special teams. Kind of tough to see the numbers. Time has been called. We'll be right back. Steelers' second offensive set. They operate in the range from their own 31-yard line. Here's the handoff to Bettis, and a great job by Alshimon Singleton and Reagan Upshaw. Well, what is it like down in the midst of this wet stuff? Let's check in. Here's Michelle Tafoya.
Well, Vern, what it's like is it just keeps changing. 1 minute the rain is sort of easy, and the next minute the size of the drops doubles. Right now they're huge drops. They're coming down hard. And this field is already occupied by two tenants, the University of South Florida, in addition to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the field already takes a beating every week.
Thanks, Michelle. Second and 13. That is Whitman in motion. Cordell Stewart fires it, dropped. That one was catchable. Courtney Hawkins, among the other woes that the Steelers had last week in losing to New England, they dropped 6 passes.
And that in this situation is a money pass. Cordell Stewart gets a good look at the defense. Watch his head snap. You see the snap? That was a read. He knows he's got a receiver open backside, and there's an example of a very nice job by a quarterback and no cooperation by the receiver.
Chris Fuamatama follows in, so is Hines Ward on 3rd and 13. Stewart out of the shotgun, 4-man rush by Buccaneers. Cordell Stewart, Ma'afala, and it's down around the ankles.
Well, Warren Sapp and Reagan Upshaw created that play. You know, one of the things you do when you run a screen, and Ma'afala was out there for a screen, is just stop the defensive lineman, and nobody slowed down Big 99 as his running buddy Brad Culpepper, the defensive tackle, doesn't call him Warren, doesn't call him Sapp, just kind of says, oh, 99. Sounds like a coach.
Jaquez Green, second in the NFL in punt returns. He returned one 95 yards for a touch earlier this year, and this is a line drive by Josh Miller. Bobbled by Green. Lance Brown misses the tackle. Ma'afala misses the tackle. Josh Miller misses the tackle. John Fiala finally makes the tackle.
Well, you want to see an example of the conditions here? That is a perfect example. A low driving kick. The ball is dropped because it's wet. The tackle's missed, I think, because it's wet. And now it's speed time. Green has got the wheels. The punter's on the ground. They're very, very lucky Fiala was there to save them from giving up a touchdown.
Hey, you want to see a football definition of an air ball?
Well, how about a little baseball reference? With Chris Fuamatu Ma'afala. Didn't draw Green.
I'm glad to hear you get a chance at that name. I like that. First down. Play fake. Dilfer got a man wide open. It's Haight, the tight end, and he overthrew him by 3 feet. Holy cow. That was a bad pass.
And Haight in a situation, you know, being in, not used to playing this much with Dave Moore out, Look at the conditions. Look what happens. No rush, no problems, no pressure, no completion. Situation like that, you've got to just wonder too, as these conditions worsen and the ball stays wet and the field gets muddier, throwing is going to be a lot harder.
Second down and 10. A 47-yard punt return by Jaquez Green. Here's Warwick Dunn. Tries to go left, does. Splits between two defenders and gets to the 21-yard line. Lee Flowers and Levon Kirkland make the tackle.
Well, Pittsburgh has the bus and Jerome Bettis and the power, and Tampa Bay's got Allstott in the A train. Well, take a look here at the Tampa Bay Ferrari. Because at 175 pounds, that Ferrari dings pretty easy, but it can corner with the best of them. And Warwick Dunn can corner and accelerate as good as any running back you're going to see.
Bert Emanuel breaks off to the left side. Anthony is in the slot left. Jaquez Green wide right. And John Davis in motion. Third down. They hand it off up the middle, and they are caught short of the first down. Dunn doesn't get it. At the 19-yard line, Levon Kirkland and Lee Flowers again. So the Buccaneers will have to settle for an attempt for 3, we think.
Well, with the condition in the middle of the field, Vernon, you got to remember what things are like in the middle of this field. They've already gone for it once on fourth down earlier, and they've completed a play-action pass. I think this is a good call. You can get a lot of bad things, a bad snap, you can get a bad place, and you can certainly get an easy slip on this rye grass.
Lorenzo Neil has come in as a blocking back for Mike Allstott.
The Rhino backfield.
Timeout. Second time they've called timeout prior to a fourth down play. During the timeout, Tony Dungy opted for the try for 3, so Michael Houston is on to kick into the wind. Tommy Barnhart will hold. Mitch Palmer will snap it back from 37 yards out and the lead. Drilled it. Not an easy effort. Mike Houston gives Tampa a 3-point lead. It's been a battle of field goals. 6-3 Tampa. And let's go back and look at the last field goal.
Watch two things. Watch how low the ball comes out, but secondly, watch how far Husted follows through. You've seen some great golf the last few days in the President's Cup from Australia. That was a knockdown field goal.
Here's the return from Will Blackwell. Out near the 25-yard line. Tackle is made by Jerry Ellison. Monday on CBS, spend the holidays with the show that Entertainment Magazine calls the near-perfect synthesis of Seinfeld and Raymond. Kevin James stars in the all-new King of Queens Monday on CBS.
Synthesis and situation comedy in the same couple of sentences?
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I held up. 1st and 10. Stewart has missed his last 3 passes. Play fake. He hands it off. And Jerome Bettis out near the 24-yard line.
Well, Brad Culpepper, number 77, the left defensive tackle, is basically the nose tackle for Tampa Bay, was all over that play. I mean, and he was all over that play from before the ball was snapped. Watch Culpepper come across right into Dermontti Dawson, I think before the ball even moves. Yep. See, and that the whole idea there is he has to occupy that double team with Brendan Stye longer because he's so quick, and that enables the rest of the defense to get on that run. Great play by Culpepper.
2nd and 9. Here's Stewart back. Blitz coming. Fires it out to Jerome Bettis, and the bus gets up a little steam out to the 31-yard line. It'll be 3rd down. Derek Brooks, Charles Mincy to the tackle. Well, the offense, as we said at the beginning of the program, has been sporadic for Pittsburgh.
Well, since the Jacksonville game a few weeks ago, the Steelers' offense is tied with Dwayne Washington, the cornerback for the Steelers, in touchdowns because they both have 2.
3rd and 3. 5 receivers now as the Steelers spread the field. Dawson snaps it back. Blitz from the corner. Cordell Stewart runs and is knocked down short of the first down. Brad Culpepper and Derek Burks. Steelers have to punt.
Yeah, not often you see a guy on a 6-7 team has been having a great year, but Derek Brooks, this outside linebacker, 55, is having that kind of a year. He knows Cordell's going to blitz or knows going to scramble, and watch the spy guy. Brooks lay a little wood on Cordell.
Brooks with 4 tackles already. Josh Miller with his second punt. He line drive the last one to Jaquez Green, who returned it 46 yards and set up the go-ahead field goal. This one's a little better, but returnable. Fair catch over the shoulder, bobbled, and it goes out of bounds. So Green can't hang on. The Buccaneers do get the ball back, and they have it at their own 19-yard line.
Time.
We talk about the conditions and what's it like when the ball gets a little wetter, it gets a little darker, and it gets a little fatter. It's a whole lot harder to hold on to, and you'll see the ball, it'll look darker, and it does expand when it gets wet.
Allstott the deep back now with Lorenzo Neil leading the way, and Allstott rumbles. Oh boy! He lowered the shoulder on Darren Perry. A gain of 15.
You know what kind of move that was at the end on Darren Perry? The first part was pretty good. That's north and south running. That's getting some good blocking from your guys up front on the left side. You got Tony Mayberry, Kevin Doggins, Paul Gruber, but here's a come on and get some. Mr. Perry, come on and get some.
Mike Allstott said yesterday his numbers are really better than they were a year ago, but because the Bucs, here's Allstott again for a yard, because they had such a better record last year, a lot more attention paid to his effort.
Well, the huge thing you would notice on that last graphic isn't so much the yards are different coming into this game or whatnot. It's the touchdowns that Mike Allstott has scored, whether it's from 10 yards out or 2 yards out. So far, that's 5 touchdowns. If he has the same number of touchdowns, you sprinkle those over the last 13 weeks, and all the tight games this football team has played in, it makes a huge difference. That is why this season has gone the way it has. The tight games have not gone the Bucs' way.
2nd and 9, John Davis in. Dave Moore again in the locker room with a lacerated shin. Here's Dilfer. Has a man open. Finds him. Bert Emanuel. Injured in the first game of the year. Had to miss 4. Had a big catch Monday night to celebrate the recent birth of his 3rd daughter.
Well, Bert Emanuel came here from Atlanta this year, and the reason they're giving that kind of respect as he works there against Dwayne Washington is he is a big play receiver, and if you bite like that, you're going to get beat like that by a Bert Emanuel. You got to keep this guy in front of you, and he knows he's a big play guy, and he's healthy again. You better watch out. You saw Jaquez Green and Bert Emanuel make those big plays last Monday night. They're healthy and they're scooting.
That's a 31-yard gain and a first down at the 35. Dilfer hands it off to Allstott with Lorenzo Neil in front. Neil stays upright this time. As he battles with Levon Kirkland, we check in with Michelle Tafoya.
Alan Harrison told me that he spoke to every member of the defensive line yesterday saying, this is it. If the line doesn't play well, we're going to lose. He told me we had to get the young guys to understand the urgency of the situation. And he said none of the defensive linemen besides me has ever missed the playoffs. They don't know the horror of playing your last couple of games for nothing but pride. Vern?
All right, Michelle, 2nd and 8. Tampa Bay trying to get back in the playoffs for the 2nd consecutive year. Here's the handoff to Allstott. Runs right to the 29. Fumble! Darren Perry for Pittsburgh.
Remember, Allstott's got that broken left thumb. It's taped. He's not wearing a cast on it. And he's had a problem this year anyway, laying the ball on the ground and losing the fumbles. You saw Brett Favre lay it on the ground Monday night and not lose it. Allstott's been losing it, and when you get a helmet on it like Gilden did, that ball's coming free. Well, here's Jason Gilden. He makes the play, but watch Levon Kirkland. Here's the hole that wants to go into. It's a natural gap in the defense. You got a block down by the right guard. He wants to go in the hole. Who's in the hole? Levon Kirkland. You got to bounce it. When you bounce it, there's Jason Gilden causing that fumble. That's team defense. Levon Kirkland does that as well as any inside linebacker in the league, and he'll take up space and make even a runner like Allstott take another spot.
Tim Lester in the lineup, battling injuries all year. He's in at fullback. Here's a quick set, and Will Blackwell makes the grab. That's an incomplete pass. Incomplete at the 35-yard line as Blackwell was popped by Rondé Barber, Courtney Hawkins, beg your pardon.
Hey, it's one of the things Rondé Barber, this second-year player, has really done. Starting in the playoffs last year, he started to make plays and have an impact. There's a good impact causing that fumble, but more importantly, what Rondé Barber's done this year, starting in the offseason and through this year, he's lifted and he's physically stronger, and he's able to make those kind of hits better.
Charles Johnson, the motion man. Here's a reverse. Courtney Hawkins going right as Lester providing part of the help. And Alan Fanikin was also out there. Jeff Gooch and Jamie Duncan make the tackle. Let's take a look at the CBS Sportsline question of the week. Who would you pick as the surprise quarterback of the season? Would it be Randall Cunningham, Doug Flutie, or Vinny Testaverde? Log on to vote at CBSSportsline.com. And on America Online at keyword CBS Sportsline.
Vinny didn't do much here. Doug's been in Canada, but the big surprise for me, Randall Cunningham by far.
Yep. 3rd and 5. Stewart, left side, incomplete. And a flag is dropped after the ball hits the ground. Will Blackwell had it hit both hands. This one will cost the Buccaneers.
The call against 25, Brian Kelly, the rookie cornerback out of USC. And their coach, those defensive backs are coached by Herman Edwards, a great friend and guy that goes way back with Tony Dungy since the days in Kansas City. And he teaches these defensive backs to be very aggressive. Ball comes off the hands. Well, there's Brian Kelly there. They called him working against Johnson, but there was a tip in there, so they're going to call that an incomplete pass.
Yeah, they've wiped off the penalty. Here's the call. Rain has affected Tony Corrente's microphone, and they ruled that it was tipped, thus no interference.
And an excellent job by the officials in consulting each other, because the person that calls the penalty can't per se see the fact that the ball was tipped early, and that makes all bets go nil.
Among those trying to keep dry today, the director of officiating in the National Football League is here, Jerry Seaman, and the commissioner of the National Football League, Paul Tagliabue. They are both present here in this brand new stadium, Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. Jaquez Green back now on 4th down. Josh Miller to punt. And they snap that one back. Almost got to it. It bounces at the 30, and Jaquez Green has to let it go.
Mark Rodenhauser is the snapper on that, and that ball barely looked like it got off the ground, period. And I can tell you from experience in this situation, this is miserable. The field's getting chewed up. You've got to try to get it airborne early, and watch how airborne it isn't. That's a 15-yard snap that only makes it about 9 yards. Alsherman Singleton is the one that almost gets in there and blocks it.
There's Rodenhauser, whose job is to snap for field goals and punts. Next Saturday, CBS Sports kicks off the weekend with the NFL today at noon Eastern, and the national game, the Jets meet Buffalo. Then following NFL action, NCAA college basketball, Illinois taking on Kansas. Handoff for a couple to the 12-yard line. Warwick Dunn, Earl Holmes makes the stop with help from Carlos Emmons.
Hey, you're working against this Steelers defense. We've seen Allstott pop a few off the tackle, but you get in there from the guard to guard on either side. You've got Holmes in there, you've got Kirkland in there, and you've got Joel Steed in there. You might want to play action in there and occasionally try to do a little business, but you will not make much of a living in that area of the field against this Steelers defense.
2nd down and 10. Here's Dilfer handing it off deep, and Warren Dunn is caught and dropped. Orpheus Roy, number 71, who's on the field.
A little bit of a different look, too, from the Steelers' defense. You've got Orpheus Roy on that side. You've also got Nolan Harrison, and Orpheus Roy comes from the far backside defensive end on a slant. And, you know, that's perfect. That's giving an offense what it thinks it's going to get. And then you get the slant down here. You get the break through a double team by Nolan Harrison. Another good example of really nice team defense.
3rd and 11 from the 13-yard line. See what the Steelers have in mind defensively. They're going to drop back in pass defense. Here's Dilfer flushed out. Pulls up, will run, and comes up close to the first down, but I think the ball came up this short. See where the spot is now. Yeah, he gained 10. He needed 11.
Well, you can fault Trent Dilfer for a lot of things earlier in his career, but I tell you one thing you can never doubt with this guy, the way he's played the last 2 years, and that's his heart. This guy's willing to give it up. A lot of quarterbacks slide in this situation. Dilfer's big, he's physical, and he wants that first down. Quarterbacks are not taught to slide head first.
Tommy Barnhart on for the first time today. He's been stashing balls, trying to keep them dry down near the locker. So assuming this is a dry ball, he punts it away to Courtney Hawkins, who grabs it, makes a fair catch at the 34-yard line.
That's the best punt so far. It must have been one out of the bag.
Yeah, it was like a squirrel. Barnhart would grab a football, put it in a Ziploc bag, and then stash it, and then make sure it got into the hands of the ball boy.
That reminds me of the old Ray Guy days.
Coming up on the NASDAQ Amex halftime report, join Jim Nantz, Marcus Allen, Brent Jones, Mike Lombardi, scores and highlights, and a preview of the President's Cup. That's all coming up shortly. 3:47 before the break. Stewart back, deep across the middle, man wide open, catch made at the 50. Courtney Hawkins, second grab of the day, 16-yard gain.
Well, it's a nice job by Cordell Stewart and his receivers. They're only getting a limited rush. Watch a square on the field and where the receiver runs to. This is a zone defense being played by Tampa Bay. Receiver settles in the square, and Cordell finds him.
Gain of 16 in the 1st and 10 across the 50. Quick set, Charles Johnson. And Johnson tries to break a tackle, does pick up an additional 2 or 3 yards. Donnie Abraham missed the first contact, and Charles Mincy made the grab.
Well, it's not raining as hard as it was.
Right.
But the conditions are still the same. The ball's wet and people are wet. So you kind of take that county fair grease pig technique to your offense where you throw that ball out quick, let your skill guy try to break those tackles because the players are very, very slick, along with that dart ball being real slick.
Tim Lester back in the backfield now. Hines Ward in motion. Second down, draw play. Bettis can't shake loose. Jerome Bettis has 4 games of 100 yards or more this season, but the last was back in early November. And he caught a little bit of grief back in Pittsburgh this week. During his off day, he went out to Los Angeles to tape a week's worth of Wheel of Fortune, and the proceeds for that go to the Bettis Foundation. And I guess some folks on talk shows didn't take kindly to it.
Well, who cares?
Exactly.
It's a great cause, and the same people who don't like that are the ones that threw fear on Cordell Stewart last week.
Third down, time called by the officials. We have reached the 2-minute warning. 6-3, Tampa Bay leads the Steelers. Back with the final 120 seconds in a moment. Steelers have a third down. They trail by 3. They are still looking for a touchdown, something that has been in very short supply. And Cordell Stewart still struggling a little.
A little bit, but, you know, his receivers have dropped some balls they should catch. This is a bad weather ball maintenance game where you got to take advantage to every single opportunity you get. You can't waste them by dropping the ball.
3rd and 5 out of the shotgun. Blitz coming. Stewart will try to run. And he can't turn the corner. Steve White, number 94. Third-year defensive end was there to force him out of bounds. It'll be 4th down.
You know, Chan Gailey, the defensive coordinator last year, who's now the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, has done some of this year with the Dallas Cowboys, showing people a little bit of option. it's been a little some of the wrinkle and some of the different things we haven't seen much about of this offense.
Bill Cowher says we're going for it. 4th and 3. It incomplete. Intended for David Dunn. Ball goes over on downs.
With his defense, I can see where you make that call. But when you're that spread out and you're going to get bump coverage and you're going to have tight guys everywhere, you got to get rid of this thing now in the get-go. And that ball's just a little bit high. It just can't be brought down. David Dunn's a huge target. That ball needs to be down in the frame of the body, not let out that high.
Pretty good job with the chuck by Donnie Abraham, too.
Well, you see a lot of quarterbacks, you know, the Elways and the Favres and people like that also gun that thing about 2 feet off the ground where the receiver gets the body around it. And
now we'll see if the gamble was costly because it did not work. Here's Dilfer across the middle for Dunn. First down at the 46. Keep in mind that Tampa had to use 2 timeouts earlier. They have only 1 remaining. That's a gain of 12. And the clock with 90 seconds to go before the break. Mayberry snaps it back to Dilfer. He goes left. Emmanuel dragged down by Dwayne Washington at the 40-yard line after a pickup of 6.
Yeah, that's a little piece of something Trent Dilfer just had to take. You thinking out of bounds? You think of doing different things? Yeah, but when you're going to get that big of a pad from Washington, that's a gimme for Emmanuel.
2nd and 4. They load up on the right side. 1 receiver split left. That's Emmanuel. Dilfer goes deep across the middle, and John Davis, who has not played a lot this year, he's listed as the 3rd-team tight end, can't hang on.
Well, what I just said, you've got to have ball maintenance, and when you get your shots and you get your opportunities in this type of a football game, you've got to take advantage of it. And John Davis just comes from the right side. He's actually in a slot position as the tight end. Ball's just put in the perfect spot for him to get and the defender not to be able to get near, and he can't come down with it. You've got to capitalize.
3rd and 4. Bucs still have the 1 timeout in their pocket. 3-man front for Pittsburgh. They will bring the house. Dilfer hit, lets it go incomplete. As the Steelers brought a bunch, it was intended for Emmanuel. 4th down.
And that's why Bill Cowher went for it on 4th down. That's why if I'm Trent Dilfer and I'm a Tampa Bay Buccaneer offensive player, I'm insulted. Because Bill Cowher just told me that Tony Dungy's offense doesn't scare him. That Tony Dungy's offense isn't good enough in his mind to drive the ball down the field with 2 minutes to go. I'd be severely insulted if I was on the offense and not real happy by not being able to take advantage of that good field position.
For a 3-year period back in the late 80s, early 90s, Tony Dungy and Bill Cowher were on Marty Schottenheimer's staff at Kansas City. Good friends. Here's Barnhart to punt on 4th down with 50 seconds to go. And this one goes down at the 1. Terrific special teams play.
You know, the good thing about this is you've got several players down in that area trying to make things happen. But look at Brian Kelly. Doesn't step across the line, doesn't get the ball in the wrong spot, and puts it where Mitch Palmer can catch this thing in the air and down it like that. Well, that's taking an insult and saying, okay, so we can't move it. Now you try it from 99 yards out.
With 43 seconds to go. Both teams need a win. Both teams need 3 wins and some help to get into the playoffs.
And Vern, you can't fall on the ball. You got Tim Lester in here at lead back. You got to bang it.
Cordell Stewart to the 1-yard line. NASDAQ halftime report coming up in 35 seconds with Jim Nance, Marcus Allen, Brent Jones, and Mike Lombardi. They'll preview the President's Cup from Royal Melbourne, and they'll have scores and highlights from throughout the league here late season.
The great thing about that situation, too, in the pregame show is that they're in the Dr. Irwin Corey mode. Because all these stupid formulas start coming into play.
Right.
The great thing about our conversations yesterday about playoff formulas is these 2 teams are very familiar with their formula. Bill Cowher, Tony Dungy, They look at you like, what are you, nuts? Our formula? We win 3 games. We don't worry about formulas.
Bill Cowher says last night, first of all, he's fighting a cold. He's not feeling real great. His team has lost 2 in a row. He said, look, here's the scenario. We come into Tampa, we win. And then on the final Monday night game, we go to Jacksonville, we win. We've won 2 in a row on the road. What better way to prepare for the playoffs? I like our position. And then he smiled.
Hey, those numbers for an NFL game, pretty weak. But honestly, in this type of condition, they're not that bad.
2nd and 9, and the Steelers try and grind out some time and yardage. Push it out to the 5. That'll be the final play of the first half. Well, Pittsburgh still looks for touchdowns. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers get 2 field goals. We have reached the end of the first half of play, the first time these teams have played since 1989. And Warren Sapp and the Bucs have a 3-point lead. Coming up on the NASDAQ MX Halftime Report, scores and highlights. That's next. Welcome back to Raymond James Stadium, Tampa, Florida, and the Buccaneers leading 6-3 at the end of the first half. Both teams having a bit of difficulty in the rain moving the ball. They did both score field goals at the end of long opening drive. 6-3, first downs 7-5. Time of possession 16:34 to 13:26. Anything that sticks out for you?
Well, you know, Tampa Bay has played very well. Remember the Allstott fumble, you know, down there in that red zone area. Otherwise, they're running the ball better than the Steelers. They're playing a little bit better defense than the Steelers. I think Cordell Stewart, I mentioned in the pregame show, he's got to be less of a statue. He is less of a statue, but his receivers, when he throws it, are not catching the ball.
Well, in Pittsburgh, 1 of 6 on third down, so they've had trouble converting there. And as a result, they find themselves 6-3. Any kind of changes that you're Bill Cowher that you can make now?
Well, you catch the ball, you hold on to the ball, and you're not the team that makes the big mistakes. A game like this, in this kind of weather, with a kind of a crummy, sloppy field, always turns on errors, whether it's a drop ball or a late slip or an overthrown ball. You really concentrate on the letter of the law and the letter of your rule book.
We've got 30 to play. Do you have a sense that this is going to come down to the respective quarterbacks, or do you think it's going to turn somewhere else?
I think where it really turns is a lot of these tight games in these situations. It's going to be a late mistake, a late turnover, whether that's the quarterback throwing an interception or, you know, you saw Mike Allstott already put the ball on the ground. Somebody's going to do that late, and the other guy's going to be able to take advantage of it.
Cordell Stewart and the Steelers, they have lost their last 2. Lost on Thanksgiving Day at Detroit, then lost last week at home against New England, a game in which they scored only 3 field goals, and Stewart for the day 5 of 12 for 63.
But he's had 3 drops.
Right.
I mean, that should realistically be 8 of 12. And Trent Dilfer is being Trent Dilfer. His job is to throw anywhere from 20 to 24 passes, to really yell at guys and to get things going, and to be the guy that hands the ball off the other 40 or so times a game to Allstott and Dunn. Allstott's run pretty well. Warwick Dunn has got 8 carries for 6 yards, so they're very effective with a little speedy guy. It's just the big strong guy they're having the hard time with.
We mentioned that Bill Cowher and Tony Dungy were fellow coaches under Marty Schottenheimer in Kansas City. Then Bill Cowher went back home to Pittsburgh, got the head coaching job. The team has been in the playoffs every year under his leadership since he joined the staff. And that streak of 6 in danger of going by the wayside unless they win their last 3 and then get a little help.
And personally, I'd be amiss there at the top of the list. San Francisco, 7 in a row, is also 16 years in a row of winning at least 10 games.
And let's check in with Michelle Tafoya.
Well, guys, at halftime, Tony Dungy told me this game has turned into one of ball protection. He said the wind and rain affected his team's ability to throw, so while he hopes for better weather, he's counting on minimizing mistakes. Now, as for Bill Cowher, he said it's the same old story. His team isn't converting on 3rd and short, and they're not finishing drives. He said, we're not going to blame the weather. The bottom line is we need to score touchdowns. Back upstairs to you.
All right, here is the kick by Pittsburgh, and Riddell Anthony drifts over to his right, grabs it at the 6. And Anthony back to the, oh, well, he did not get to the 25. He was popped by Richard Huntley, number 33.
Well, you had it right the first time. He's back to. Because he was going to, and he suddenly went to back to. So here's how you go. You're going to, and watch Huntley come in and apply the back to. Huntley, 33, there, has had a problem this year fumbling the football when he's carried it, but he's not having a very hard time attacking the football when he sees it. That's a classic textbook job of tackling by Richard Huntley.
Second-year man from Winston-Salem State. First down, Tampa at the 24. Mercifully, the rain has gone away, but we expect more before the game is over. Dilfer, play fake. Goes deep on first down for Emmanuel, who got in between Jason Gilden and Cornell Lake and picks up 21 yards.
You know, good play selection and good execution buys you patience, and Trent Dilfer was able to be patient. See, that's classic Buccaneers, 18-12. That's what they want to do. And the 18 runs set up this type of pass protection, enables the quarterback to be that patient, to wait for Emmanuel to clear Gilden there in that zone.
Bert Emmanuel, 3 catches, 58 yards. First down at the 45-yard line. Handoff. Warwick Dunn comes right, spins out of a Cornell Lake tackle across the 50. Earl Holmes comes over to plant him as he reaches the 49-yard line. It was Holmes who had a big interception last week that many thought would set up a come-from-behind Pittsburgh victory in the fourth quarter, but they couldn't convert.
And but Vern, when you talk about mistakes, it's not always just dropping the ball on the ground. Holmes and the defenders on both sides of the ball have to be very aware when you've got a running back like a Warwick Dunn or a Jerome Bettis. You get him, you grab him, you tackle him. That's as much of a drop as dropping a pass if you drop a tackle.
Here's the toss and the reverse. And no, it's a fake reverse, and Dunn keeps it. But the Steelers not fooled at all. Joel Steed, number 93, moved about 2 yards over to his left and made the tackle.
Well, Jaquez Green, 81 on the left side of your screen there, is going to come back on a reverse. And look at the job the Steelers defense does of not reacting onside. Carlos Emmons never stops coming from the backside. Joel Steed does a great job in there. Levon Kirkland's there. Gilden's there. That's reacting and not taking something too seriously. I put that in my brain. I put that in my computer bank if I'm the Tampa coaches, though. They didn't bite on that reverse fake.
3rd and 3. Penetration by the Steelers. Jason Gilden came across. Now, was he influenced or did he influence?
Oh, no, they bid on that bark, I think.
Only 3 flags accepted in the first half. That's amazing. 3 penalties in the first half.
Prior to the snap, start, number 83, offense. 5-yard penalty remains, 3rd down.
Dave Moore, the tight end.
It's at the top of the screen right there. See a little flinch? You had a flinch there, and you had a flinch there by Anthony before the ball was snapped.
Those were little flinches.
Little flinches. But hey, when defenders, especially guys like Jason Gilden and defensive ends, they're looking at Trent Dilfer's hands. They're looking at his elbows. They're looking at his feet to get some sort of a key and a read. They're looking for slight little motion. That's all it takes is one slight little motion, and the defender is gone.
3rd and 8 officially. Opening moments of the 3rd quarter. Here's Dilfer back, looking left, fires it out, and is caught by Allstott. But he's in traffic and is caught and dropped at the 47-yard line. That brings up a 4th down. Mike Vrabel and Lee Flowers, and a flag is down near the point of the tackle. Ball back across the 15.
And it's going to be a hold against the Tampa Bay offense.
Holding, number 61, offense. The penalty is declined. Down.
Tony Mayberry, the center. And so Tommy Barnhart comes on to punt, and Courtney Hawkins drifts back near the 10-yard line.
Well, Tampa Bay definitely knows Pittsburgh's not overreacting because they didn't overbite on that fake reverse, and they certainly didn't overbite on that screen pass.
Mitch Palmer will snap it back. The 3rd punt of the afternoon for Barnhart. Nice and high. And Hawkins with a fair catch at the 7-yard line. So the Steelers, who got 3 at the end of their first drive, search for a way to move the football. Just under 12 to go, 3rd quarter, 6-3 Tampa. And the Steelers have Jerome Bettis behind John Whitman. He gets the handoff, rumbles across the 10 out to the 14-yard line. That's his 10th carry of the ball game. The bus with only 6 yards on his last 3 carries prior to that one.
Last 6 carries, he had 3 yards until that one right there.
I'm dyslexic.
This is what Bill Cowher, means about, not taking advantage, not doing things right. You do something right in Pittsburgh, you're running the ball effectively, and you're setting up the passing game with the run.
2nd down and 4. Johnson slips, gets up. Bettis comes left. Across the 15 to the 16. It'll be 3rd down. Monday on CBS, Ted Danson stars as a doctor who's not afraid to tell it like it is. Critics are calling it the best new comedy of the year. Catch an all-new Becker Monday on CBS. 31 Pittsburgh, trailing by 3 at their own 16-yard line. Cordell Stewart wings it out for Johnson, and he makes the grab, diving for the ball at the 19-yard line.
That's a nice catch by Johnson. That sets a little bit of a tone if you're on the Pittsburgh offense, especially if you're Cordell Stewart, because this is by no means a perfect pass. It's very well defended by Abraham and by Rondé Barber. But the ball's put out in front of Johnson like that, and he manages to catch it and bring that thing in these bad conditions. That's getting an opportunity, that's taking advantage of it. That's also landing on the ball after you catch it.
1st down and 10 on the conversion. Here's Stewart back. Has to get rid of it quickly. Mark Bruner, the tight end, leans out and places the ball at the 27-yard line in front of Derek Brooks, number 55. Bruner's first catch of the day.
And this is something that defenses have wanted to do also to Pittsburgh. And Cordell Stewart and their coordinator, Ray Sherman, is they want to make Pittsburgh take little chunks and little bites and nibbles. They don't want them to take the big chunks. Make them go 12, 13, 14 plays, see how disciplined they are, and see if they can finish.
Hines Ward in motion on 2nd down. Jerome Bettis bounces off the first tackle. John Lynch gets him up around the shoulders and rides him to the ground, but it's a 9-yard gain for Jerome Bettis.
Well, remember what I just told you about taking advantage of opportunities. Aren't always offensive players dropping balls. A lot of it's also defense. You get a chance to get a shot. You've got an opportunity to make a tackle on a Jerome Bettis on that last play. You've got to make that play because you've got him at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage. And he breaks it and gets a nice gain.
Pittsburgh 1st and 10 at their own 35, trailing by 3. Got something working. They're going to go back to it. Here's Bettis and a flag thrown by Tony Correni. This will be holding against Pittsburgh. John Lynch and Brooks make the tackle. Bring it back. See if Correni's mic is working.
Holding, number 38, offense. 10-yard penalty, remains 1st down.
It's on John Whitman, the fullback. Now remember, Correnti, our referee, standing back here. Look at the view he has of what Whitman's doing. See, he looks at that arm. See that arm as Whitman wrapped that arm around? That's why the referee makes that call. It's an excellent call. Every official's got their own little angle and area of responsibility. And on that play, the referee said, no, wrong.
1st and 18 after the penalty is walked off. 6-3 Tampa, 8:38 to go, 3rd quarter. Buccaneers threaten a blitz, handoff. Richard Huntley shakes one across the 30 out to the 35-yard line. He gets about 7 back. Jamie Duncan, number 59.
Well, you notice as Jamie Duncan and the defense came around him, what he did with that football. We talked about that Huntley's had a problem fumbling the ball in the past. Watch the football and watch Huntley's arm. Ball maintenance is sometimes just holding on to it and saying, I'll take what I can get. Look at the arms protect that football. That's perfect bad weather running.
Huntley has lost 5 fumbles this year, most on the team. They give it to Huntley again. He comes left and picks up about 3 to the 36-7-yard line. Tyoka Jackson and Derek Brooks. Derek Brooks nearing double figures in tackles again today.
Hey, you know, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Dermontti Dawson at center is always a treat to watch, especially for somebody that's played the position. Here, look at him working against Brad Culpepper. Gets a little piece of Culpepper, sets up Brendan Stye, gets on Brooks, holds the living daylights out of Brooks, and doesn't get called for it.
Tyoka Jackson off the field, 3rd and 9, Pittsburgh. Stewart has a man, incomplete, intercepted. Went off the intended receiver, picked off by John Lynch. Lynch across the 50 to the 41-yard line. Another dropped pass. That one should have been caught.
Taking advantage of opportunities. The opportunities being put in your hand, you've got to catch it. John Lynch did what's so hard.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. Volkswagen, on the road of life there are passengers and there are drivers. And by Propecia, talk to your doctor today.
John Lynch gets his first interception of the season. In the process of growing a goatee, that started just before they won the game at Chicago. And here's Dilfer, right side for Emmanuel, one hopper. That's incomplete. Well, remember the phrase from instant replay days, upon further review? Let's go back and look at that interception.
I take back a lot of what I just said about Mr. Blackwell. Watch the pass from Cordell Stewart. Clearly too high. It does go through his hands, but you know what you have to watch here at the end of the play too is the fact that A, it's too high, B, it's caught by John Lynch, and John Lynch during this return spends the whole time kind of looking for somewhere to fall down. He wasn't looking to take it back.
Blackwell peers out from the Steeler bench. 2nd down and 10. Patrick Cape a little confused in the backfield. Allstott knows what to do with it. He gets down to the 35-yard line before Carnell Lake and Lee Flowers make the stop.
Anytime, instead of hearing moose, like in Dallas, here you hear the train whistles when Mike Allstott makes a good play. The offensive line does a fine job. Got Odom, you got a little lead block there by Hape, and that's exactly what this offense wants to do. We talked about it in the first half. It's not fancy. It's not really sparkling looking, but they want to pound on you, and Trent Dilfer wants to make a little completion.
3rd and 5. Dilfer, quick set, knocked down behind the line, or in the line. Orpheus Roy, number 71, got a hand up. And it will be 4th down, Tampa.
Pressure? No, not really. You don't talk about pressure on this play. What you talk about is Orpheus Roy, 71, and what he does when he knows he won't get there. He gets the hands up. Mayberry's doing a good job. Doggins is doing a good job. But Orpheus Roy just gets up there and knocks it down.
Barnhart to punt for the 4th time. Hawkins inside the 10. Hawkins, fair catch, grabs it just outside the 10-yard line. 6 minutes and 3 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. Steelers get the ball following the punt, but their starting quarterback stays on the bench. Bill Cowher has pulled Cordell Stewart, a team that has not scored in the last 8 quarters, and Mike Tomczak seeing action for only the 2nd time this season. Tomczak lobs one out to Charles Johnson at the 21-yard line, and it is complete. Mike Tomczak, 14 years in the league, a former starter at Pittsburgh. As a matter of fact, 2 years ago, he won the starting job in a battle with Jim Miller and Cordell Stewart. And then last year, before the season began, long before the season began, Bill Cowher said, Cordell Stewart is my guy.
Well, we talked about earlier how a little bit of desperation and confusion on the part of the Steeler quarterback, Cordell Stewart. And your first reaction is to say, well, gee, that's not going to help his confidence much. But honestly, in this situation, he almost has to agree and throw it in the who cares territory. The offense isn't moving. This team has to win to get in the playoffs. Mike Tomczak, they've got to give this guy a shot because he's notorious for sparking an offense.
Tomczak 15 of 17 in his only appearance this year against Tennessee. Hands it off to Jerome Bettis. Bettis breaks a tackle, breaks another, breaks a third. It's going to come back. There's a flag at the 27.
Holding against the Steelers. If there's one thing that makes Bill Cowher bubble and go nuts like that, is holding on a running play. And that's his way of saying, I beg to differ.
Well, it begins with a B.
Holding, number 87 offense. 10-yard penalty, repeat, first down.
Mark Bruner, the tight end, is called for holding, being the outside player on that play. Look at Jerome Bettis just fighting. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, they had a penalty here. This is going to be called back, but this tells you a little bit something about the mindset of the offense. Bruner held, Cowher doesn't like it, but it seems this offense has decided, hey, look, we'll all pick it up a little bit. Tampa's got to find a way to not let them.
First and 14, Tomczak back. Fumbles the ball. Who got it?
Warren Sapp.
Number 99.
Well, finding a way to let them not have that emotion, I think that fits in the category. Knock it out of Tomczak's hand and get a fumble. Watch Tomczak in the pocket. You got Upshaw on one side. You got Tyoka Jackson coming the other way. He knocks it out, and Warren Sapp gets it. One more time. That's 94, Steve White, that actually gets that ball. Steve White knocks it out of his hands, and Warren Sapp gets that play. And that's not the spark Cowher was looking for, but it's certainly one Dungy was.
First and goal, here's Dilfer. Here's Allstott to the 3. Second turnover for the Steelers. Cordell Stewart picked off by John Lynch. Mike Tomczak has it recovered. Now Lorenzo Neil, number 41, is in the lead block for Mike Allstott.
Yeah, this is all power. This is the Rhino backfield, and this is the part of the field where they're going to give you all sorts of power, maybe a play-action pass. But you watch LeVon Kirkland, 99, the inside linebacker, and you watch Neil, the fullback, collide.
Here comes Allstott. There goes Allstott. Touchdown!
Well, the big power run of Bettis was called back. But look at the job. Emmons trying to get in. Neil doesn't let him. And Allstott just says, you ain't stopping me. This isn't a great block play. If you're an offensive coach, you say, nah, they had their shot. Joel Steed had him at the 2 or 3. But Allstott ran right through with his 250 or 60 pounds.
Michael Husted with the extra point knocks it home. So it takes 2 plays after the Tomczak fumble. Mike Allstott, broken thumb and all.
Ready for e-business?
Back at Raymond James Stadium, Tampa leading 13-3, 4:28 to go, third quarter. Michael Husted to kick off now for the Buccaneers. Low and returnable, David Dunn at the 5. Back to the 20. Contact made at the 23 by Floyd Young. Well, Cordell Stewart told us last night, I'm going through things right now I never thought I'd have to go through in my life. Cordell Stewart, a winner at Marrero, Louisiana in high school, a winner at the University of Colorado. In his second year as a starter, a winner at Pittsburgh, struggling, pulled by his coach, Bill Cowher. With 6 minutes to go, third quarter, Mike Tomczak fumbled, recovered by Tampa Bay, and now the Steelers are down by 10. Here's Bettis. Jerome Bettis rumbles out to the 32-yard line. And a moment ago, Cordell Stewart and his coach, Bill Cowher.
He says right there as he gets there, he told Bill Cowher, put me in, and Cowher says no. And a natural competitor's reaction is that, you know, he's sort of being picked on. He's being singled out. And was this all his fault? And the reason he's coming out is not per se that it is Kordell Stewart's fault. The problem is the offense is not scoring touchdowns. They're not finishing off drives. And Bill Cowher owes it to this football team to find out if Tom Zach can.
Second down and 3. Hand off. Bettis to the 35. That's good for a first and 10. And again, this is a moment ago on tape. The conversation continues with Kordell Stewart and Bill Cowher.
And that's what you'd expect. I tell you what, if you're on a football team and your starting quarterback doesn't have that reaction, he shouldn't be your starting quarterback.
I was in Atlanta a couple of years ago when June Jones and Jeff George had a conversation on the sideline. That one much harsher than this. 3 minutes to go, third quarter. Here's Tom Zach. Oh, sails. Here comes Lynch. Second interception. And how did Kordell Stewart react? This is not on tape. This is live.
Kordell's thoughts got to be been there, done that. His last pass on the field sailed, went off the hands of Blackwell, and ended up in a Lynch interception. And John Lynch, playing that safety position, is right where he needs to be to take advantage of Mike Tomczak in for Kordell Stewart.
How does that compound the dilemma for Bill Cowher?
Well, it compounds it, I think, in the sense that, what do you do now? You know, Tomczak's not Spartan. Do you go back to Kordell Stewart? And what's going on in Kordell Stewart's head right now, because you know from his reaction recently, he wants in this ball game.
Courtney Hawkins, meanwhile, on the field, injured, time call. Courtney Hawkins, the injured player, walking off unaided. The conversation continues, and I think Kordell Stewart's going back in.
Well, you know, I'm big on lip reading in these situations, both in the positive and the negative, but the reason that Bill Cowher and Kordell had another little conversation is Tomczak's fumbled the ball, and he's had one sail on him, and he's thrown an interception. And yeah, they're going to find out what's going on in Kordell's head.
After Lynch's interception, here comes the reverse. Anthony goes left. Dwayne Washington tries to shadow him, and Darren Perry forces him out of bounds.
That's a successful reverse. You got 4 or 5 yards. Remember earlier, they didn't bite on it? That time they didn't bite as hard, and that's why they got the 5 yards. And, you know, Tomczak's a little disappointed by his interception, which sets up the field position. But watch the reaction on this side of the ball. Remember how they didn't bite off the other way on the reverse? Well, they bit onside that time, and by biting onside, that sets up a successful reverse. You run a reverse, you want 4 or 5 yards.
Here's a little twist. Lorenzo Neil in the fullback, and Dunn that tailed that. And Neil tries to provide the blocks for Dunn, who gets to the 33, 34-yard line. Levon Kirkland makes the tackle.
When you get Lorenzo Neil, you're talking about an ex-heavyweight wrestler at Fresno State in college. And this guy is just a muscle in cleats. He is a stud. Watch the fullback, Lorenzo Neil, heading into the hole, trying to search up Holmes 50. Did he search him up? Yeah, I think he searched him up. That's a nice lead block. That's the kind of physical football this Tampa Bay team has got to play with Pittsburgh.
3rd and 3. At the 33, and a 10-point lead late third quarter. Gilbert goes deep left side, incomplete. Intended for Anthony. Carnell Lake defending. Tomorrow on CBS, don't miss all new episodes of your favorite Monday Night Favorites. That would make sense. Cosby leads off, followed by Kevin James and Jerry Stiller in The King of Queens. Then the tinsel hits the fan when Raymond goes Christmas shopping on the all-new Everybody Loves Raymond. And the show's critics are calling the year's best new comedy, Becker, starring Ted Danson. That's followed by L.A. Doctors, and it's all new Monday on CBS.
Now, there's going to be a pooch punt by Tommy Barnhart. His total isn't very good, his average. He's been doing a lot of pooch punting. Remember, a lot of fair catches around the 10-yard line and inside the 10-yard line so far by Green.
Play cake. Play cake.
Play cake?
Yeah, the play cake.
They placated so long, the play clock ran out.
Thank you. Oh, boy. That'll cost him. Here's Corrente.
Delay a game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains 4th down.
See, that was a setup from the get-go because they basically left, you know, the better part of an offensive line type of a team in there standing onto the field. Barnhart was only about 10 yards, had no intention of kicking, and Tony Dungy just said, hey, look, we'll just take those 5 yards. That puts our punter in a better situation. You're going to pooch it and drop it, get it off of the middle of the field, put it back to the corner.
Here's Barnhart. Courtney Hawkins is back, shaken up on a tackle a moment ago. This one goes into the end zone, touchback, back to the 20. And let's check in with Michelle Tafoya.
Well, guys, after Mike Tomczak's last interception, Cordell Stewart shook his head and lobbied every coach who would listen to him to put him back in. There were even reports down here on the sidelines that during his exchange with Bill Cowher, he was so frustrated, he shed some tears. And he's had a frustrating season. He told me yesterday, it's been a growing season, a season I never wanted to have, and it's so frustrating because I know I'm 10 times better than what I'm displaying. Back upstairs to you.
Well, now's the time for football for Cordell Stewart. He's got to come back onto the field, and he's got to be focused. The lobbying's done.
Now the plan's got to begin.
He stood in the corner for a couple series. Now let's see if it had any effect.
Stewart. Diving catch made up at the 30-yard line. Catch made by Courtney Hawkins. He was pulled with slightly more than 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. Tomczak came in, fumbled the ball. That led to a touchdown. And then on the next possession, Mike Tomczak had one sail into the arms of John Lynch. Cordell Stewart is back into quarterback.
And on the first play, Courtney Hawkins goes down and gets one for his quarterback.
First down and 10 at the 30. Bettis out to the 33-yard line. Final 45 seconds, third quarter. Tyoka Jackson and Jamie Duncan make the tackle.
And what you need to see out of this Pittsburgh offense in the fourth quarter, and you know Tony Dungy's defense knows exactly what they want to do, is they want to imitate what Tampa's done earlier. They want to pound you with Bettis, and they want to leave high percentage passes for Cordell Stewart. And that's not just in the sidelines for Bill Cowher's quarterback. He can't be afraid to throw the ball over the middle of the field where the Steeler quarterbacks have had problems so far.
2nd and 7. Play fake. Good block. Stewart. Couple of pumps. Into the flat. Caught by John Whitman. But that is short of the first down. Steelers will have a third coming up. But when they do have their third down, they'll go the other direction. That's the end of the third quarter. Tampa leads 13-3. We'll be back after this message and a word from your local station. Welcome back, Tampa Bay. Start of the final stanza. Tampa leading 13-3. They go after their third in a row. Cordell Stewart has to overcome what he has accomplished in the fourth quarter this season. And he works out of the shotgun now. They toss it left. That one went nowhere. Derek Brooks with another tackle. And so the Steelers, trailing by 10, will have to give it up. Well, a game of high drama if you're a Pittsburgh Steeler fan or a coach or the quarterback.
That's a high drama if you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan. I mean, you're watching a team struggle and really struggle with what they are and who they are. And you've had a quarterback like Cordell Stewart and the emotional roller coaster he's been on the last 10, 15 minutes. Just when you expect them to try to finish off on a third down play, do something Steelerish, they tried to get cute and they paid for it.
Jaquez Green awaits the punt of Josh Miller. He has one return of 47 yards today, and he takes this one from the 29, and the wall is set up. Cuts inside, and that allows Huntley to make the tackle after a 27-yard return.
Well, actually, to be honest, Steve White, number 94, made the tackle. He tried to cut back, Jaquez Green did, and his own player, White, put a pretty good lick on him.
Tony Dungy unhappy with his special teams play. And there was a flag on the play against the Buccaneers.
And just like Cowher hates holding on running play, there's no excuse for a penalty on a special teams play like
Personal
that.
foul, unnecessary roughness after the conclusion of the play, number 31 on the receiving team. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Penalty is called on Floyd Young. 13-3 Tampa Bay. Back in a moment. Now, part of our late arriving crowd, the good guys in the Goodyear blimp. The weather cleared just enough, so they got up and are overhead. The Stars and Stripes based in Pompano Beach, Florida. Larry Chambers, the captain, and we do appreciate them getting up in the air. Here's Dilfer going deep. Way down for Jacques Green. And Dwayne Washington did not get credit for the interception. Out of bounds when he came down with it.
But just by throwing that ball down there, Trent Dilfer has just generated some good, healthy respect in the power of his arm from Dwayne Washington and Carnell Lake on the other side. Jacques Green, this is not so much a touch pass. This is, I'm going to throw it, you go get it. And nice job by Dwayne Washington. Up. Does he control it? Is he inbounds? We declare no on both, but a nice defensive play.
Highlight of the season for Dwayne Washington when he picked off 2 and returned them for touchdowns against Jacksonville. Here's Dunn. Gets by a couple of tackles, one-on-one with Carnell Lake, who heaves him out of bounds at the 45. That will leave the Buccaneers needing 5 for the first. Tuesday on an all-new Jag, Farm and Mac try to help a troubled girl suspected of being abused. But is there more to this than meets the eye? Don't miss an all-new Jag. That's Tuesday on CBS. 3rd and 6, early moments, 4th quarter.
That says it for both these teams right there. Focus and finish. Finish for Tampa to stay in the hunt, and focus for the Pittsburgh Steelers to have any chance of getting to the playoffs.
Blitz. Dilfer lets it go. Caught by Anthony, first down. At the 45-yard line, 11-yard gain.
And Riddell Anthony is hurt right there on the field. Keeps grabbing at that right shoulder. He took a pretty good shot. He bobbled the ball and was concentrating so much on re-catching the ball and getting the ball that he was not really able, it would seem, to be able to protect himself when the tackle came in.
Medical staff hurries on the field. Tony Dungy is also out. Time has been called. Riddell Anthony on the bench, but walked off unaided. First down and 10 at the 45, and Dilfer hands it off to Warwick Dunn. Scoots up the middle to the 40, and Lee Flowers makes the tackle as Warwick Dunn gets inside the 40 at the 39.
And part of that focus and finish idea, we talked about this a little while ago, is holding on to the ball. And when you're a runner like a Warwick Dunn, getting a good lead block by Neil, 41, working on Holmes, you better have ball maintenance. You're not real big, you're spinning, you're running. You better be sure you keep that ball tight against your body.
Allstott back in the lineup now is the only setback. 2nd down and 6. Green in motion. Allstott bangs his way inside the 35. Levon Kirkland, there's a collision of some substance.
And we talked to Levon Kirkland last night. He had that sort of a smirk smile on his face talking about, well, they've got what they think is a power running game, but we think our inside 3 are pretty tough, and they are pretty tough. But right here, Allstott just gets inside of Steed and inside of Kirkland, and you're not going to get this guy with angles. You don't glance him down to the ground, even if you're Levon Kirkland having the kind of year that he's having.
They bring the chain out and stretch it. First down. Clock has 12 minutes and 1 second remaining. Now 12. Cordell Stewart. Pulled at the 6-minute mark of the 3rd quarter. Mike Tomczak came on for 2 series for the Steelers as his replacement. Fumbled once, picked off the 2nd time. Stewart back in, but they could not move the ball. They didn't get 1 first down. Now, the Buccaneers. Dilfer. Dunn to the 32-yard line. And Carlos Emmons, number 51, makes the stop.
The best way to describe this type of an offense in this part of the field is really methodical. I mean, whether it's Dunn at halfback or Allstott at halfback, they've got the big fullback Neil in there lead blocking, and they are just going to do what they want to do, and that's slam the ball. This is that backfield right now through 13 games. Coming in today, and I mean, it's a heck of a combo. Doing as well, if not better, than did last year.
On this second down play, Lorenzo Neil is in, and he leads blocks for Allstott to the 25-yard line. A gain of 7. Nolan Harrison, Carlos Emmons with the stop.
Well, remember what I said about getting angles on Mike Allstott? Part of not getting the angles is watching Lorenzo Neil lead block and the guys up front, Middleton and Odom, get their blocks. Look at Lorenzo Neil get a big old piece of Harrison, and look at the angles. He's getting hit from the sides. If you're hitting Mike Allstott from the side, he's going forward. You've got to get somebody in that grill, right in the middle of that face mask, and stop him, and then get help from the sides.
Third and less than a yard. Allstott. I don't think he got that.
Now, anytime you see a fullback go in for a lead block tippy-toeing, that halfback's got nowhere to go, and Allstott had absolutely nowhere to kind of burrow to. Watch the line of scrimmage as Neil approaches it. See this chop, chop? There's nowhere to go. He's drilling into the back of his own offensive players to try to create somewhere for Allstott to go.
Fourth down, 15 seconds on the play clock now. Now a fresh 25.
I think you get up on the line of scrimmage here. If you don't run a play, you try to see if you can pull them off. Remember this kind of macho attitude offense Tampa has.
Fourth and a yard. Allstott's got it. A fresh series of downs and a couple of minutes on the clock.
You remember the old movie Billy Jack?
Yep.
That great scene where he says, I'm going to take my right foot and put it on the left side of your face, and there's nothing you can do with it. Well, right here, Tony Dungy and the Bucs say, we're going to take Mike Allstott and put him over the left side of our line, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I missed that part.
And they both hit the same spot and the same result. One, the guy went down, and number 2, Allstott got his first down.
Neil and Allstott in the backfield on 1st and 10. A 10-point Tampa lead. Allstott, oh, boy! Nolan Harrison said last night, I love to compete against a power running team. And he won that particular battle.
Well, once again, you remember edges? You're not going to get Allstott down taking an edge. Watch Nolan Harrison come right inside on Frank Middleton. Middleton's pulling. Harrison's free. There was no edge to that. If Allstott was 255 pounds, Nolan Harrison got himself about a 240-pound edge.
Second down and 14. Dunn in the backfield on second down. Under 8 minutes to go in regulation. Dunn bounces down to the 20. Spins and drives, and the crowd will respond to this one.
That is an emotional run by Warrick Dunn. That's not power. That's speed, that's spinning, that's want to. Remember I said earlier in the game, there's going to come a time in that second half where you're going to get an opportunity to make a play on defense and make a tackle. Good job by Tony Mayberry working on Kirkland. There's a chance by Steed, there's a chance by Flowers, there's a chance by Perry, and neither of them could make it.
3rd and 2 at the 15. Allstott the deep back. Play fake. Dilfer lobs it out. Incomplete. 4th down. Well, the crowd loved the Dunn play. They're not so thrilled with that one.
Well, Lorenzo Neil knows his quarterback just short-armed him. And no one's going to be madder about that than Trent Dilfer because he had this play in the flat. They've been giving him so much power. They went with the short play action, and the big fullback never had a shot.
Michael Houston from 33 yards away. 2 of 2 thus far today. Recovered by Pittsburgh.
Dwayne Washington, Vern, all over that, coming from that left outside position. This is just the definition, Vern, of somehow, some way you find a way to be the guy that makes the play. Is it the tackle? No, they didn't make the tackle. But Dwayne Washington, a fabulous job blocking that kick. Little things can be disastrous. Watch the right foot of Patrick Haight. He wants to jab with the left. Don't move that right foot. See it go in and under? That creates a soft corner for Dwayne Washington to get that block.
Out of the shotgun now, Cordell Stewart, 4 wide receivers. Stewart nailed.
They're going to call that a sack.
Steve White, number 94.
He was in the grasp and going to the ground.
That's a sack.
Exactly. He was in the grasp and going to the ground when he tried to throw that away. Watch Steve White, 94, coming from the left side. Working against Jermaine Stevens. Look at that nice spin move. He's past Stevens. He's got him. He's going down. That's a sack.
2nd and 19. Cordell Stewart yelling at Dermontti Dawson. Here comes White again. Got by Stevens again. Intercepted by Kelly. Jermaine, he's out of bounds. Out of bounds.
Well, really no catch that he bobbled it.
Meanwhile, Cordell Stewart was buried by White, who used the spin move on Jermaine Stevens.
Well, Stevens is a rookie. And watch working right there. White gets the shot. Look at Kelly. Johnson ripping the ball. Does he have it? Nice call. Very nice call from that angle. Watch the ball. Kelly starts to possess it. Never gets both feet down to establish himself in possession before Johnson can really rip it out. Watch. Does he have it completely? No. I like that. But one thing Bill Cowher isn't going to like, Vern, is this right here.
Tampa Bay, fumble force, first down.
How about this?
Remember we talked about earlier the consultation? Another consultation. Another official's view says he did have possession. He did have the ball when he hit the ground. And it was an interception.
Kelly gets credit for the interception. Jerry Seaman, the director of officiating of the NFL, present today in Tampa. And Kelly gets his first interception of the year.
The 4th turnover of this ball game. Watch. Does he have it? 1, 2. Is it coming out? The official ruled on the sideline. Yeah, it was very close to that ball coming out before that second foot got down.
Allstott to the 15. Take another look, count the feet, see if simultaneously he maintains possession.
See, look at an official's job, though. He's got to look at the ball. Another guy's got to see the feet. Does he have it? See, it's hard to say from that angle. Is it being ripped out? Does he have it when he turns his back? I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you. We spent a lot of time criticizing officials and saying, gee, they did a good job, or gee, that was a terrible call. I wouldn't want that job for 10 times the money they pay those guys.
2nd down. Dilfer, Allstott. That's going to be close to the first down. Keevan Henry and Joel Steed. Well, this is a Tampa Bay Buccaneer team that dropped 3 in a row. The most devastating, Trent Dilfer told us, was a loss at home to Detroit. Tony Dungy said he challenged his club. We need to win 5 in a row to have a chance at the playoffs. And they established a theme per week. They went into Chicago, where they had lost since the turn of the century, and won there. They beat Green Bay here on Monday night. This week's theme, beat the Steelers for the first time ever. Here's Allstott to the 14-yard line on 3rd down.
But you're not going to beat the Steelers running a play like that when you get penetration from guys like Carlos Emmons and on your big fullback. That first down play, They just gashed in on that left side and had a good run. That's 2 back-to-back. Just stuffs by that Steeler defense for Bill Cowher on Mike Allstott. You know, one thing you have to remember, too, about this Tampa Bay football team, they played their first 7 games this year on the road, getting ready for this beautiful new stadium to be open. And both Rich McKay, the general manager, and Tony Dungy's told us that we underestimated that net effect on our football team. And a terrible start, inconsistent play. But boy, in the last 2 or 3 weeks, this has been a pretty opportunistic football team.
4th down. Well, and about that much.
Allstott and Neil are lobbying for him to go for it.
Tony Dungy began his professional career with the Steelers. Played for them a couple of years. He was Randy Cross's teammate with the 49ers for 1 season.
Many moons.
A few.
Remember earlier, though, when Cowher went for that 4th down play by saying, you know, we don't think Tony Dungy's offense can hurt us. And Tony Dungy's offense didn't hurt him. Here's another chance on 4th down to hurt him. I think they got it.
Dilfer with a sneak. These 2 teams have not played this often. This is only the 5th meeting. Both came in feeling they had to win 3 in a row. Now the rain resumes.
And that's a nice play call by Tony Dungy's coaches. Everybody's thinking Neil and Allstott. They're on the field. They're lobbying for it to go for it on 4th down. You're concentrating so hard on the fullback and the running back. What you get is a sneak by a big physical quarterback, Trent Dilfer, to get that 1st down. Now's the time to take your shot in the end zone throwing the ball.
Davis. Allstott. Allstott to the 7. Buccaneers trying to even their season record at 7-7. They came in today tied with New Orleans and Arizona for the final wild card spot. Now, significantly there, New Orleans plays at Arizona next week. Tampa's remaining schedule, they are at Washington, a Saturday game, and then they close out at Cincinnati.
Well, their big goal this week, though, they haven't been looking to playoffs. Tampa Bay has been saying, look, before we start talking smack and getting funny here, let's get to 500. Let's get to 7-7 before we start worrying about playoffs.
Allstott the deep back. Neil. Allstott down to the 6. LeVon Kirkland makes the tackle. And the dilemma facing the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are on the verge of losing their 3rd in a row for the first time since 1991. They come in today with a 7-6 mark, tied with Tennessee and Oakland. And the Steelers have Cincinnati at home and then a Monday night game at Jacksonville, which might become meaningless.
Well, they knew coming into this game, Cordell Stewart and his entire Pittsburgh Steeler organization, that in the AFC, unlike the NFC, 10 is the magic number. You want a shot at the playoffs, you got to have 10.
3rd down. Allstott. That appears to be just short of 1st down. And we will get to the 2-minute warning. 2 to go. Timeout had been called by Pittsburgh with 2:02 left in the ball game. And on 4th down now, Tony Dungy sends Mike Husted on to try another field goal. Which is good from 21 yards out. Now we get to the 2-minute warning. It comes soon enough for the guys in black and gold. (16-3) Buccaneers trying to defeat this Pittsburgh team for the first time in their 5 meetings.
There's a look at that offensive line for Tampa that enables this offense to be so methodical and physical. You know, with Mike Allstott and Warwick Dunn running the ball. And we talked about how this is going to be a hard-hitting physical football game that we're going to turn on mistakes, and that's exactly what we've gotten today.
Earl Holmes Buffalo winning again with 10 to go in their game.
Boy, the slide continues for the Oakland Raiders.
Yep.
St. Louis beating New England. News out of that game is Terry Glenn has a fractured right ankle.
Tennessee and Jacksonville notched 13. Here's the kick. David Dunn, reverse. No, fake reverse. He still has it. And he is still on his feet. Out to the 45-yard line.
That's we've seen some big physical running backs, and Allstott and Bettis have some pretty good success. And here's a big physical wide receiver returning a kick, getting some good success too, breaking tackles in this kind of wet, sloppy situation. But now you're putting Cordell Stewart and his receiving corps, among whom is Mr. Dunn, in a tight, weird situation. Here comes the defense, chugging after Cordell. He's got to throw the ball.
Out of the shotgun for Cordell Stewart. Deep left side, almost picked off again. Brian Kelly goes for his second interception of the day. Coming up next, the President's Cup from Royal Melbourne Golf Course in Melbourne, Australia. The international team leading the United States 14.5 to 5.5. They only needed 2 matches to win it. Second down. That'll be coming up after our ball game. Draw play. Matu Ma'afala out across the 50 to the 49-yard line. 7-yard gain.
Michelle Tafoya mentioned earlier about Nolan Harrison talking to us last night and saying, you know, I've never experienced this playing for pride. Well, Bill Cowher's football team's a minute and 20 seconds away from playing the last 2 games of the season for pride.
Here's Stewart. Incomplete for Johnson at the 30-yard line. Warren Sapp got to Cordell Stewart.
Warren Sapp's a big guy. He's a physical guy. He's heavier than he needs to be. He'd be more effective a little lighter, but he is a battler. It's late in the game, and he is still coming. Look at him. That's Warren Sapp. And his little encounters with Brett Favre over the last few years, it's kind of a lip-off. Who gets into the last word?
4th and 3. Intercepted by Abraham. Mike Tomczak looks on as Cordell Stewart flings one to the guys in red.
The problems the Steeler offensive have had this football season will not be cured this year, especially not with 3 interception games. 2 high ones. One high one, 2 that are just picked off, 1 by Kelly and here by Abraham. The problems that are wrong with this offense need a good long training camp to cure them. And I think one thing they also need in Pittsburgh, to be honest, between spending some time with Cordell, watching him today, I think the Steelers have to seriously consider hiring a quarterback coach. Give this young quarterback, if he's your future, hire a coach.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 18. On the Steelers, 15-yard penalty, first down.
It's on Mike Tomczak, for heaven's sake.
But Cordell's reaction to that interception it just sort of says it all. But I'm positive. All the great quarterbacks I played with in Montana, Elway's got it. Everyone, the good quarterbacks have got to have a quarterback coach. That's their guy. And Cordell Stewart needs somebody in his corner right now.
First down and 10. 5 turnovers for Pittsburgh today, 69 seconds to go. Tonight, 60 Minutes looks at Bill Clinton's game plan. Who tells him which plays work and which ones don't? You don't know? Well, they'll explain it tonight on 60 Minutes. Don't miss a very special holiday episode of Touched by an Angel, followed by Grace and Glory, a Hallmark Hall of Fame presentation starring Gina Rollins and Diane Lane. A great night of entertainment tonight on CBS this evening. Cordell Stewart season will, in all likelihood, end without a playoff appearance for the Steelers this year. Tony Dungy, of course, his team now in the thick of this battle for the final playoff spot in the NFC. Began his career, he was a quarterback at the University of Minnesota and made the team, the Steelers, as a free agent defensive back. But he also was an emergency quarterback, and one night in 1977 he became one of the few men to throw a pass and also intercept a pass, throw an interception and get an interception in the same game. Here's Allstott.
But a game like this against the Pittsburgh Steelers team for Tony Dungy has got to be pretty special. Here's a team that's really dug themselves a hole, and he still says everything I learned and I'm still applying as a football coach, I learned under Chuck Noll and in that Rooney organization in Pittsburgh. And you can really tell some of the class way that Tony Dungy works this football team. The influence of a Chuck Noll and of a Art Rooney and the way that organization did things. And you're always happy for people like Tony to have success, especially against one of his former teams.
Asked him last night if he was disappointed when he and Bill Cowher were on the staff with Schottenheimer in Kansas City. Cowher got the Pittsburgh job. Tony had been long rumored for a head coaching position. It was not to be. He went on to Minnesota as a defensive coordinator. Said no, that was not when he got distressed. He was very happy for Cowher. The one time he almost got angry was in 1993. 7 jobs opened up in the National Football League. He never got a phone call. Allstott. Nolan Harrison. Well, what a difference in attitude. Both of these teams will be 7 wins and 7 defeats. But one's looking up and the other's looking down.
We said at the very beginning of the game that Bill Cowher told us yesterday, heck, they're 6 and 7 and everybody's got them going to the playoffs. We're 7 and 6 and people are burying us. Well, now they're both the exact same record and they're still headed for the same area as Bill Cowher was talking about. They're out of the playoffs, I strongly believe, even if they finish 9 and 7. And Tony Dungy's football team has somehow, some way, found a way to survive yet again. Now from here on out, they got a shot.
Final play of the ball game. The Pittsburgh Steelers have lost their 3rd in a row for the first time since 1991. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, trying to scratch and claw and get back into the playoffs, have won their 3rd in a row and defeated Pittsburgh for the first time ever. Jim Nance and the NFL Today postgame show coming up. So for Randy Cross and Michelle Tafoya, I'm Vern Lundquist saying so long from Raymond James Stadium. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports.